Welcome to the spirit of our area, where we ride beyond the map and every stop becomes a story. Join us in the small town of Alcongosta near Fundao. This is the town that's known locally for the Cherry Festival, which is what we are here to celebrate. Come and join us for another traditional Portuguese festa. Alcongosta is a 45-minute ride from home and approximately 40 kilometres. And we don't really know what to expect, but we suspect that it will be all things cherries. The road that we chose was one which we have taken by car a few times, and my husband has always said this would be great on the bikes. Me, on the other hand, I wasn't convinced. Some of the road is quite bad with broken up surface, and it has way too many blind bends for my liking. These roads are narrow and generally always quiet, which is great, but it also makes them quite dangerous, as nobody expects to meet another vehicle on the road. Now, I'm probably being a little melodramatic here, as generally the roads are very safe here for bikers. But accidents can happen anywhere, and usually quiet roads lead to complacency and at times cars that don't stick to their own side of the road. So we were very careful. But even with that in mind, we've never really experienced this to the point where it's caused us any real problems. It's just something that I'm always mindful of. And despite my earlier reservations, I really enjoyed riding these roads by motorbike. I also want to point out one more hazard on Portuguese road corners, which have a side dirt road leading directly into the corner. They tend to get dust and gravel pulled in from the side road onto the tarmac, which on a straight piece of road is absolutely fine, but on a corner it can spell disaster for motorbikes. And it's not really something that's impacted us, but again, it's something to be aware of. We rode some of the same route that we took a few weeks back, and I'm glad to report that I didn't take a detour this time. And I also had to laugh when I saw my husband had stopped in a lay-by just up the road to check I was still with him. All along this route to Fundao are cars and vans full of local cherry produce, and the local people selling directly from their vehicles. And I also want to take this opportunity to brag about how much better I was on the hairpin bends this time around. Last time I was all over the other side of the road, but this time I respectably stayed on my own side of the road. I can't wait until the next time. We arrived at our destination, and I'm pleased to report that I didn't actually take any wrong turns or get lost. But we did come to this section with a barrier, and having not learnt my lesson the last time we came to a barrier, I just went around it, because that's what bikes are for. It's not like the road showing any alternatives or road closed, so there we are. Up we went carefully and tentatively in case we suddenly arrived in the middle of the crowd. But there was another barrier, which I could maybe have squeezed around. After a quick chat with my hubby through the intercom, he said he'd seen an alternative. So we engaged reverse and carefully rolled backwards and turned around. I did get a little bit stuck in the drain, so I carefully gave it a few revs and off we went. The husband went first to show me the way, and a funny thing about Portugal is that not all of the roads actually look like roads. We arrived at the potential road, and after some debate decided, due to a lack of other options, we would give it a go. Now, my husband and I have followed one or two questionable dirt tracks on our journey from the UK to Portugal, and they rarely turned out to be the right way, so it's fair to say I was a little sceptical. But the map insisted that this was a road, even if it seemed rather reluctant to send us up this way. As the husband turned his bike around for a run-up, I decided I would just go for it. And up I went. Yippee! I'm doing it! Look at me! Oh, I stalled. Come back, husband! His words of wisdom as I stalled right on the crest of the hill was, "It looks like you're going to have to practice your hill start." He also added, "I can't stop now as I don't want to drop my bike." Okay, positive thoughts here. I didn't drop it and I don't feel like I'm about to. Talking myself through it, I engage neutral, foot down, foot on the brake, hand off the brake, start the bike, okay, great. Foot down, use the handbrake, first gear, foot down, foot on the brake, release the handbrake and release the clutch gently. I found biting point and woohoo, we were off and I didn't drop it. The emergency situation was over and I'm glad I didn't have to make my husband walk back down the hill in this sun-baked weather, as he would have been furious, and rightly so, it was really hot. This track was just gravel and dirt and could have fooled anybody. Luckily for me, this was not my first off-road rodeo, and up we went. And here's the husband, look, waiting for me again. Yay, we finally found the cobbles. That was an adventure getting here again today, but finally we parked up under a tree and went off to explore the Cherry Festival. The first stop was ice cream. It was a choice between ice cream and sausages, and ice cream won. Now sadly, this stand didn't have cherry ice cream, which was a bit of a travesty, but it was serving ice cream with fresh waffles, so let's give it a try. And you know you're at a festa when you hear the bombosh. And here's the first group coming. They're a staple to all Portuguese festas, so always follow the sound if you're not sure where to go. They are the beating heart of any Portuguese festa. We wandered down the street, past many of the vendors selling their cherries, and into the heart of the festival. We're still very new to festas, and for me, coming from the UK, if you turn up at lunchtime, you're late. However, here in Portugal, if you turn up at lunchtime, you're early, and things are just really getting going. Things really don't start going until 3 p.m, and then they carry on normally late into the night. We were able to take this first little wander around the streets with plenty of space around us. This festa, as I've mentioned, was all about the cherries and the music apparently, and for such a small place there were so many bands, but this particular band were one of my favourites. We watched everything they did. They were lively and energetic and played modern music. Not that I don't enjoy the traditional music, as I do, but this band were a lot of fun, and they took those classical instruments and they turned them into something for the next generation. And that's what I really love about these festas. All generations love them and are all welcome, and everyone gets involved regardless of age. And I'm really not joking, I could have watched this band all day. It was hot and getting quite busy, so we went and found somewhere to sit down in the shade. I decided that this festa would not be complete until we had had cherry ice cream, so I went off in search of that. I'd also seen dipped cherry chocolates and I really wanted those, so I also needed to find those. So I abandoned the husband in the shade with all of the helmets and coats, and I went to find them because I thought I knew where they were. And I couldn't help noticing how much busier it was. Now I'm sure they moved during the day because they weren't where I thought they were. They were actually just 2 steps away from where we were sat.
Esta pequena e esta grande aqui. Você quer aquilo, certo?
Esta ou esta?
Sim. I had located the chocolate shop and made my purchase. And now I just needed to locate the ice cream. Olá, duas bolas, cerveja. With the ice cream obtained, it was now time to navigate those crowds and find the husband again. He was just where I left him, sitting in the shade on the church steps. However, it appears that the party had come to us, and the longer that we sat there, the more bands we got to enjoy. It truly was great. As one band left, another filed into their place, and all we had to do was sit there and enjoy. Deciding that we had eaten all of the ice cream that we could for the day, and we must have enjoyed every single band that the Cherry Festival had to offer, we decided it was time to head home. And as we fought our way back through the crowds, the weather that was promised gave us a little rumble. Now, the weather in Portugal in the summer can be quite unpredictable. It's very, very hot. I think it was a 40-degree day. And it does have some quite considerable storms when they come on those hot days. So it could have thrown it down any minute. And here we were again, without waterproofs. And as we rode, we ummed and ahed over whether we would get home without getting soaked. But the sky was still blue in our direction, so we were hopeful. We enjoyed the twists and the turns of the quiet roads as we headed home, and the weather had cooled off a little bit more as the sun was no longer shining. We had made it back to our village without getting wet, but we decided to take a ride over to our farm as it was quite windy and I was concerned about our gazebo blowing away. So we did a little bit more off-roading, and I've got to say that these little bikes, these Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450s, are absolutely superb on all the terrain that we've ever put them on. They are so capable on these dusty dirt tracks. And there goes my husband showing off again, speeding past me, and he went straight home without even waiting for me. How rude. Reflecting on the day that we'd spent at the Cherry Festival, I was a little bit surprised it wasn't in Fundao itself. But now I understand why. It was held in the town where the cherries are grown and where the families who've cared for the trees through every season live. The Cherry Festival is planned every year to take place at the height of the cherry growing season, and this enables local people to actually visit the village where they are grown and to buy cherries directly from the growers. It's a local closed-circuit economy. People were buying fresh cherries like there was no tomorrow. They had boxes and boxes and boxes, and they came prepared with large bags to carry them all back to the car. The harvests are even continuing in the fields as people are buying them on the streets. You will not get a fresher cherry unless you actually pick it yourself. And I was truly surprised at how many bands you can actually fit into one small village in one day. I didn't know what to expect, but I really didn't expect it to feel quite so much like a party. I hope you enjoyed joining us at the Cherry Festival in Fundao. In the next video, I'm going to tackle some basic maintenance. Make sure you subscribe, as I have never done anything like this before. That was Alcongosta, Cerveja Festa. Thank you for coming along. We hope you've enjoyed the ride.